Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Tragedy to Triumph podcast with Dave Roever. I am your co-host, Kim Chapin. We have just an incredible interview today that Dave and Colonel Alan Marshall are going to be having. It is going to really inspire you, give you some great insight to what it means to sacrifice for our country, as well as looking into the life of an American hero. Stay tuned. You're going to love it.
Well, it's certainly a great pleasure to have Colonel Alan Marshall on the program today because, Alan, you and we've been buddies a long time.
For a while, yes.
Time's fun when you're having flies.
That's right. Or doing time.
Yeah. But you are, in my book, in a lot of people's eyes, you're a great hero of our country. I know you're probably uncomfortable with that term, but America needs heroes. America needs men and women that children can look up to, and boy, you fit the bill.
Well, I wouldn't say I was a hero, but I served with some.
Yes, sir. Colonel, you were a U-2 pilot, and for those who don't know what a U-2 plane is, and there you are. Actually, it's more or less a spacesuit, isn't it? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full pressure suit. We call it spacesuit, but you need it to survive in the environment, and so it's pretty similar to what you would see when the astronauts would fly in the space shuttle. Yeah, very similar.
Well, I'll tell you, I know it's classified how high you can go, but you always stop at 70,000.
Yeah, we'd say we flew above 70,000 feet.
Yeah, that's all you can say. Well, is that program, they just canceled that program lately, or do you know?
They're still active.
Oh, good.
So they're out doing this. It's reconnaissance aircraft, so they're out doing reconnaissance.
They have pretty interesting cameras on that thing. Count the hair on your head from 70,000 plus.
They do good work.
Now, I can tell whenever I get on sensitive subjects, so you just either ignore me or give me the cue to shut up. First of all, I want to let people know that our friendship goes way back. It does. You're not on this program because of a brand new connection. There's a picture, I think, of us together. When you were just there you are, look at that. When you were holding your baby and your beautiful, beautiful wife, Kendra. Talk to me about that day.
Yeah, this was back in the early 2000s, and you had come out to our base, one of your visits, and you hear this a lot where people say, oh, I remember when you visited, and we had known each other, I think, a short time, and Kendra, had a music ministry at the time, so she opened for you with the national anthem, singing it.
Yeah, I remember it well.
And we had our firstborn Nolan there, and she handed him off to me, and she sang, and then heard the national anthem, and then afterwards we got this picture because you spoke to the crowd right after that, and so there we are.
I made friends that day with a lot of U-2 pilots, and but the one I wanted to make the friendship with most is sitting across the table from me.
Oh, well, it's been a good long friendship, and you've come to visit schools I was involved with. And
tell me about that school, too.
Yeah, I've been involved. We had our children, and as they grew up, we started getting interested in their education, so we got involved with the classical Christian school movement, and I've been involved with that, and became involved with the leadership of those type of schools, and you came and spoke at graduation and certain events for those.
Yeah.
And so I was involved with their education along the way. And of course, the little boy that I was holding is there next to my wife by that T-38 aircraft. And then the second boy, she was pregnant with him in that picture where you and I were standing and holding. She was pregnant at the time. And he's by me in this T-38 aircraft picture. And then there they are now. They attend the Air Force Academy.
Yes, indeed.
One's a senior and one's a junior. The taller one is Nolan. This is the one I was holding in that picture. And Joshua's 1 year younger, and she was pregnant with him in that picture. So they've known you for a long time, and as you came to visit the schools, they would see you. So it's been a long relationship.
I love speaking at the academy there in Colorado Springs. But the image that we're looking at right now, for those our largest viewership, our largest listening audience is, of course, on audio platforms across the board. But for those that are on YouTube watching, you can see from small little boys up there to full-grown men now, And not only at the academy, but succeeding immensely well at the academy.
Yes, they are. They're doing very well academically and progressing and doing well.
There's something about a man of God leading as a priest of the house and leadership. You're a retired colonel of the United States Navy.
Air Force. I got to correct
pardon me, Air Force.
Yeah, wouldn't want to do that here.
Oh, boy, that's true. In fact, I have a 250th celebration of the United States Navy here.
Uh-huh.
And it's a coin. You can look at it. It was given to me. I don't have a duplicate of it to give you, but I do have a coin I want to give you here in a moment.
That's nice.
But speaking of the Navy, I was Navy, and I was on the riverboat, Riverine Warfare Task Force 116. And this coin, it shows the Purple Heart I was awarded and the Vietnam Service Medal. And we were known as Brown Water Black Beret. And this coin has all the information on it. My handle over there with SEAL teams was Preacher Man.
Oh, wow.
And in 1969, I said, I want to give this to you, sir.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
In the traditional style of pressing it in the hand.
That's right.
And,
handshake.
I sure love you, Colonel, and I'm so
we love you
excited
too.
to have you on board today.
That's fantastic.
That's a prize coin, and I'll give those to very, very, very selective people. And I couldn't wait to give that to you. Even I was going to wait to the end of the program, but I was so excited to give it to you. I wanted to get
you couldn't wait. Well, that's beautiful. That's what'll be treasured.
Well, I hope so, sir. And but back
Thank
to
you. Thank you very much.
This isn't about me today, but I did want that coin to be given to you.
Yes.
And as an Air Force colonel, you were involved in the war in the Middle East. What years were you there, sir?
Well, the way I would say it is in and out a lot.
Yeah, I understand.
So over several years, I would just in and out. So I was involved with Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom.
Yes, sir.
And in other ways to lesser extents or more, just in and out. So a lot of time, a lot of opportunities to be involved.
Today we're celebrating a little past the 4th of July now. But we're celebrating the 250th year of our nation's freedom. And Colonel, a little off the subject of history, I want to get back to some of these other pictures in a moment, but right now, I feel like our nation's more at risk than any time in our history. I survived going through a war in Vietnam, which was also simultaneously coincided with a war on drugs. We had LSD out there, and I forget the guy's name that was the father of it. It'll come to me in a moment. The sexual revolution, the hippies, and the Bay of Pigs. We had Cuba rattling a saber that had Russia written all over it. And we were at great risk in those days. Assassination of our president, our Secretary of State, Martin Luther King Jr., and I look at that and I said, boy, that was a rough day. Those are bad days. Nothing like the cancer that's growing within us today in communism right here in our own country. And as we celebrate our 250th birthday, you and I are celebrating millions of Americans like you and me. While at the same time, there'll be those that are celebrating communism and its rise in our nation. I'm going to ask you a personal question. How does it make you feel as a military man who's put so much of your life into service to this magnificent country? What does it make you feel like to look at the news today and see the mandamies and these people that are such, they call them socialists, but they're actually communists? What's that do to your heart?
Well, I'm obviously concerned. The intellectual roots of communism is Marxism.
Right.
And so if you look into Marxism, it's a very scary proposition for anyone who believes in Western civilization and the Judeo-Christian foundations of our country. So it is concern. It's concerning that a lot of our history is not being taught. from the foundation of the country. You'll see in these pictures, I have my family and I have 2 sons that, are on the path to service, but they're 4th generation military service. Their great-grandfather served in the Pacific Theater. One of their grandfathers served in the Army in the time of the Korean conflict. He wasn't sent to Korea, but the other grandfather was also served in the Vietnam time frame, but he wasn't sent to Vietnam, but he was in reserves. And then, of course, their father was a career Air Force. So 4th generation of their being in service. And although, less than 1% of Americans serve, you'll find that often there's a huge percentage of the people who do serve come in families.
Right.
Generations of service.
Right. I mean, I hear it all the time.
And it's not just, the military, but other first responders, firemen have that and police have that. And a lot of times people in the medical fields and a lot of professions are that way, but it's just a really small, thin percentage of people that end up defending the country, and it runs in families. And so it's important that our families have a strong foundation in history and know, why our country was founded and know the sacrifices that were made for the freedoms that they have.
Yes, sir.
And so there's obviously a concern for this cultural Marxism and communism. I mean, in generations past, communism was not seen as a good thing.
Yeah.
And it should be a concern for people who fully understand the ideological roots and the historical truths of countries have went that way. And of course, all about it with Vietnam and your experience there with that.
Well, it's still the truth that almost every communist dictator ends up murdering not a few, but a few million people, several millions of people that don't disagree with them. They all end up doing the same thing, it seems like. If you don't agree, you just kill them. And the thought that we have a generation of young people, especially in New York up there and across the board now in Colorado that are voting in their primaries to the Democratic Party. They're voting in the socialists/communists. They have no idea what they're talking about. These kids don't know what they're doing. These people, they're looking for handouts. Well, the handout will become handcuffed to an electric chair. It's going to kill them one day. It's going to cost them. And I'm concerned because, like you were saying, families who have an understanding of sacrifice for freedom, they pretty much continue to carry on the tradition of that sacrifice. Well, that's less than 1%. When you think about that, you are not going to defend something that you're not going to defend something you don't have any investment in.
Right.
So these people they've never shed a drop of blood for this country. Hadn't cost them a thing. In fact, whenever the tycoon out of China and Soros himself, the other tycoon, all these billionaires, the Democrats are trying to reject that are supplying all the hate funding for these riots. Man, it's just a self-contradicting theory that you can get ahead by taking other people's money, and then when that money runs out, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get your opinion. And of course, I respect you not only for your service to your military, but for your doctorate in education, your understanding of life in general. You're a great mentor to me, sir. And I truly mean that. That's why you sit on my executive board of directors. Mm-hmm. Is because, and I've had another board member on too, Dr. Kathy Cook. Mm-hmm. And you people are so special in my life. Talk to me some more about what would be the most defining moment in your career in the military?
Well, first of all, my doctorate's in organizational leadership. And so prior to that, all my education was technical. It was in, applied mathematics, and I had astroengineering at the academy. So I as I got out of the technical fields, I kind of broadened things out, and then I got involved with the education part for my kids, and I got into more of the classical works, and so that kind of broadened my thought process. And as the kids were coming up, we actually wanted to make sure they knew kind of what some of these terms were, because people throw out communism, they throw out fascism. So we went through and read the Communist Manifesto with them. And explain them. It is, and there are actually elements in there. They were actually to say that they want to undermine the family.
Yeah,
and then they talk about how they want to basically undermine any kind of religious organizations. Those are goals in their stepping stone to taking over a society. Is basically nullify the family and nullify religious organizations.
Wow!
And so I taught that to my sons, and when you go through that, then they go, wow, this Marxism's, that's pretty scary stuff. And so as your young people need to know that when they hear someone talking about, oh, I'm a communist, then the red light should go off and say, well, that's not what I want to be involved with. And then also you hear the term fascism thrown around. Well, most people who throw that out can't even define it. And so we go through and have, can you define it? And I make sure, that they can define what the term is and what it means. And then just describe the difference between communism and fascism and capitalism. And to say that, the answer of our lives isn't in politics, but there's sure a lot of threats that come along with certain types of politics.
Yes, there is.
And that's the difference. The answer to our lives is for all of us to recognize our sinful nature and come to Christ and to move towards Christ.
Yes, sir.
But it's also our duties, as parents, to show our children where the big dangers are. And so that's part of this education piece, is to be able to show that to them. As far as, the defining moments in my military career, I have to say, and I won't go into the details, but, one of the time when I had a good close friend, I had more than one where, I lost friends in the military, but one very close time where I lost a friend in the military in operations. And that's a hard thing.
Yes,
it doesn't go away. It's always there. And, that's where you realize that the freedom's not free. Yeah. And so, those are the defining moments. There's also, there's great moments and things like that. But, you realize that, there's a lot of people who've paid very high prices for the freedoms that most people drive around on the streets and
have no clue.
Never think about it. Yeah.
Never
absolutely.
Think about it, and probably don't want to think about it, because if they do, they become too emotionally attached to something called freedom, and they might be asked to do something they don't want to do.
That's right. That's right.
The picture that's on the screen right now is a car chasing the landing of a U-2 spy plane. Now,
reconnaissance aircraft. Yes.
Thank you. That reconnaissance aircraft has one landing gear, it looks like.
There's another little tail wheel on the back of it. Yeah.
Right. And I've been in that car, that chase car. Mm-hmm. I think we got to about 135 miles an hour.
Probably, yeah.
Coming in behind you guys, looking up the tailpipe of that single engine, and watching him land that thing. He can't see the runway, can he?
It's limited because he has the spacesuit on, and you lose your peripheral. So there's another U-2 pilot in the car with a radio and telling him how high above the ground that wheel is.
I remember him calling it out. Yeah. 20 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet.
And then also yaw. So you can't land sideways in this thing. Obviously, any kid that used to jump their bike over a ramp knows you want to be perfectly aligned when you land. You don't want to land sideways. So calling that yaw, so they tell the pilot, right rudder or left rudder to straighten that out. Yeah. So it's quite a challenging aircraft to fly. Yeah,
I don't doubt it. It's probably the most challenging of all the aircraft.
I would vote for that. Yeah.
Well, that day we took off. Well, I've done it. I think I've done it 3 times now. in that little car. One of the ones I was in was I think it was a Camaro or a Mustang or both.
They've had different times. They've had different ones. Yep.
But I mean, the minute he passed in front of us, the driver shot out of that side tarmac and behind that thing. That was an exciting ride. I tell you what, it's amazing the gifts and the talents that are invested in people like yourself and the dedication to excellence that you've shown, not only in military, but also in education. You talked about applied mathematics. I majored in math too. That's where I found out that 5 out of 4 people don't understand fractions.
That's right.
And if they didn't understand that, they were in my class. But my doctorate was it was a gift doctorate. The doctorate was for my putting together a catheterization lab in Vietnam. $14.7 million project. But the thing that you have stood out the most to me, Colonel, and I'd like to go back to, we hopped around a little bit, but it's so important, come back to the most fundamental values that make you the man you are. And I think I got to identify them. First, your faith in God. And second, your love of family. And because of that love of family, your commitment to a service of our great country. Let's just do a quick review. Military, you're a retired colonel, flew a, what was it? A reconnaissance plane?
Reconnaissance airplane, yeah. Other aircraft too, but yeah, highlighted by that.
Yeah. What other aircraft did you fly?
I flew various aircraft, some trainer aircraft. You have to fly certain other aircraft to get to that. So I just leave with that, yeah.
I have a guest coming on next after you. He is a retired colonel. He flew F-16s in Afghanistan and Iraq. He'll have an interesting story. And then family. You have the 2 children? Or
That's it.
Just 2 boys?
2 boys, yeah.
And they're both in Colorado at the academy there, Air Force Academy, where I've spoken many, many times.
That's great, yeah.
I love the academy and the new chapel. I ain't got to see the new chapel. I don't think it's finished yet.
No, it's not new. They're refurbishing.
That's what I mean,
yeah. It's taking a while.
Yeah, boy, it'd take a lot longer than they expected.
Well, you know.
Typical.
Yeah.
But I would say that today, as I've sat on the executive board of directors and you've served on that board, that you are one of the most amazing friends and board members I could ever hope for.
Well, that's humbling.
And I want the people to understand that as you sit on that board, I'm held accountable for every dime and dollar this ministry receives and spends. And one of the greatest tragedies, and this is something I want people to understand of our ministry, is we're very active in incredibly sensitive countries. I could list a few of them, but then I'd expose those sensitive countries we're in. We don't need to do that. Some of them, if the enemy knew where we were, they'd take the lives of my employees.
Right.
The people that have supported this ministry over the years need to know there are men like you on that board, women like Dr. Kathy Cook, who is a speaker for Turning Point USA, pastors, evangelists, officers of first responders. What do you say about the Roever Evangelistic Association or the Roever Foundation or the Roever Education Assistance Programs International? What do you say about those programs that you see in the area of integrity? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Oh, I would say it's the highest integrity for those organizations. And I know there's a lot of prayer and thought that goes into running the organization and oversight. And like you said, you have to be very intelligent in what you say and you don't say. And I understand that. And
can you confirm for the people that this is not a yes board? It is.
No, it's not. Absolutely not. They actually speak up and ask questions and definitely,
the blisters on my feet from holding my feet to the fire.
Investigate, all aspects.
Yeah. Well, if you had your life to do again, and this is a very far-fetched idea, but if you had your life to do again, what would you do that you think now would be a better path or affirmation of the path you took? In other words, any regrets?
Well, I mean, I think anybody, once you get older and have more wisdom, I feel now at this point I'm old enough to enter middle school.
The disc would be a little small.
Yeah. I've got, so anybody that's older looks back and wishes you had, the knowledge that you have now.
Yes, sir.
And anyone can say, I wish I'd have turned right versus left. But I think the thing that you wish you could have done is just, more earlier emphasis in following Christ and following his direction in trying to reach more people.
When did you make a commitment to Christ?
Well, I was a preacher's kid, and so I always.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, Church of God, and my wife was too.
Oh my goodness!
But so you get saved every Sunday night until you're to your leave home. But along this long path, at some point you have to internalize it and make it yours. And then also, at some point you have to decide that it's not about you.
Yeah.
And you have to make it about something bigger than you. And so that's the challenge for everyone, I think, is to say, okay, whatever path that I'm on, this isn't just about me.
Yeah.
It's about something bigger than me. And, of course, the first big thing out there is God.
Yeah.
And then you deciding, okay, is this the God of the Bible? And you say, yeah, well, it's Jesus. And then after that, you have to decide that he has a specific interest in you. It's one thing to just have this generalized.
Yeah. Which most people just have the generalized.
Yeah, the generalized. But specific relationship with you, and then say, well, now I need to focus me on his purpose for me. Right. And so, that's probably what that would do that earlier and be focused. And then as you get older, it's a growing sense of how much more and more important that is.
Would the term progressive sanctification apply there?
Yeah, I think so. But it's also maturing and just seeing how important souls are and seeing how, that progressive sanctification has to do with your own personal walk.
Right.
But then there's this other thing over here of what are you getting done for God?
Really, and to multiply, the great force multiplier was not only getting married, but married to a godly woman.
Yeah, Kendra's a wonderful lady. She's made me a huge better person. So that was huge.
And mother of two great kids that love God too, and great young men serving God and country. So the reason I brought that question up earlier about what would you change if you could or whatever. Of course, I think I could have predicted your answer. We grow and we learn as we grow, and there are things we'd look back and say, well, if I'd known then what I know now, we'd do it differently.
Yes.
But that's part of the whole learning process.
Mm-hmm.
We're anchored many times through suffering, through difficulty.
Yep.
The frivolous party life does not cause a man to grow. So I don't advocate suffering. It comes up in every podcast. It's part of my very DNA spiritually, now physically too, I guess, is that suffering is probably the greatest gift from God we've ever had. Pain is a gift. We don't like it, but without it, how do you know you're having a heart attack? How do you know you have a broken rib if it's not painful? So pain is a gift from God, but we don't like it.
No.
And we learn through suffering. Jesus learned obedience through the things he suffered. And in suffering of your lifetime, could you pick out a moment in time that probably the greatest suffering that brought you closer to God than any other time? Now, this is really putting you on the spot, I guess, and you don't have to answer that. So,
yeah. Well, I mean,
some of it may be classified. I don't know.
Well, obviously, you lose people close to you, your mother, father, when you lose your mother, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And obviously father or close, losing a close personal friend, in military situation, that's tough. And especially if you're responsible for them.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing. Those are tough situations. Are there other things, what you perceive at the time to be a failure in your work can be tough? Transitioning from the military to civilian life is a tough thing, and it might look like it's an easy thing to do or that everything's going great to everybody else, but it's actually, you hear it, that's a tough transition. When you kind of go through it, it's actually pretty tough.
Well, do you think the biggest deficit would be in structure? The structured life you were used to, going into a civilian life that doesn't have that same structure?
I think it's more culture.
Culture.
It's culture and sense of mission, sense of belong. Mission is important. A mission in your life is important.
Boy, is that true.
And when you lose that mission, when you're in a military unit, you have this mission, mission, you know what it is and you go after it and you do it. But then when you go into civilian world, you don't have that same sense of mission. Usually civilian organizations don't have it. And certainly the other people in the organization aren't as committed to it. It takes a rug out from under you.
I've been dealing with, in my presentations lately in churches and military organizations I've been speaking at, I deal with mission drift, talking about the focus and why we're easily drawn away from the intensity of focus. It comes to mind just now that my dad used to tell me about. He had was it a robin or some kind of bird, blackbird or something. Anyway, if you catch it, you put it down, hold its beak on a piece of paper, draw a pencil line straight from its beak, and that focus of that bird will so hypnotize that bird. Go the bird, he won't fly away. He'll stay right there focused on that. Mission drift today is one I see as one of the greatest deficits of godly men. They know what's right, God, family, country, job, and yet they'll let their eyes take in things that drift away from that focus. And next thing you know, they're flying away, they're gone. And I think mission drift would be something that if you're used to focus on mission in the military, you go get into civilian life. For me, it was different. I was only in total 2 years and 6 months, which included 1 year and 2 months in the hospital. A lot of military experience in the hospital. But my kids never really ever seemed to find that military life because they weren't even born yet when I was in the military. They were born after. So my children never knew that kind of life or lifestyle. Yet they're both very involved. My daughter, her husband is a wildland fireman. Well, he's doing wildland fire right now. He's captain of the fire department in Pueblo, Colorado. They had those big fires going on, so he's very involved there. And they just had 3 of them killed and 2 of them put in the hospital in Denver last week, just all in one group. And then my son has been very, very active. In fact, got his doctorate, just finished getting his doctorate. And his role in life that's taken him down amazing path is for over 20 years. He took our military troops that came out of the wars into Death Valley, where they had to expose the most hidden secrets of their lives to be healed, to get that garbage out of their life. So they've kept their mission focus without mission drift. I don't want. I'm 79 years old, and I have to watch it. And boy, I'm glad you brought up that word mission, because it'd probably be a good theme of what we have experienced in our conversation here. What kept you focused? Because they say the proof is in the pudding, whatever that means exactly. The proof of your success, the highest rank you'll ever get, is not colonel, sir. It's dad, husband, father. And those two boys, I know those boys. In fact, I hope to have them coming and doing a concert for my next program at Colorado, at our Colorado range for our couples coming in.
I can do a podcast for you.
Yeah, you know what? if you'll arrange that,
I'll do that.
And we can do it remote if we have to, if they can't get away.
Oh, they can get here.
All right, you can pull some strings, Carl.
Yeah.
And but yeah, let's do that. But I don't want to.
Well, I want to say something about the mission. It actually circles back to the 250.
Yes, it does.
I look at the Declaration of Independence as the mission statement of our country.
Right. I agree.
Okay. And then the Constitution ended up being the vision statement. So the mission statement should be ever enduring. It's why you did the thing. And then the vision is how you're going to do it.
That's the mission.
Okay. The mission is the first thing. Endures. It should stay the same. And the vision's how you're going to do it. So Constitution, how we're going to execute. So if you look at this second paragraph in the Declaration of Independence, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That's the mission statement of the United States of America. That should never change. It's enduring, and it has fundamental thoughts in it. First of all, it talks about there are truths, objective truths, and all men are equal. They're endowed by a Creator. Okay? And among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And because of these, we set up a government to secure these rights. And that government exists by the consent of the people. Those are some incredible ideas. That's the mission statement. The problems we're having here at the 250 point is because we've mission drifted away from the mission statement.
There you are.
Now, they gave us a vision statement, which is the Constitution. Oh, here's how we're going to do it. And then they gave us an amendment process to fix problems of doing it. But that should never change. 1,000 years from now, that should still be the mission statement. If we'll follow that mission, we'll stay true to what the country's about.
Wow.
But if we don't, we're going to have problems. And you just think of all those things. Truth. We have a Creator. He gave us our rights. Government didn't give us our rights.
Right.
And there's some fundamental rights: life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. And by the way, we gave the government permission to govern us.
Yeah. It's like church and state, the cart before the horse, though. Now, the church is not to be worried about the state. The church should be protected from the state. But the state is running from the church, which I guess they think the bride of Christ is wearing army boots under that beautiful dress. I don't know what in the world they're so afraid of the church. But, you're right and well said, and thank you for bringing into focus our mission. It is our mission. And the price we pay to protect that mission is it seems to me like that's the tent stake that keeps the tent from blowing away, is the sacrifice, the cost. And I'll always come back. It's inevitable because I'm sitting here in a certain amount of pain which is part of my life now. It has been for the last over 55 years. It's a price. It's a sacrifice. I made a statement on the last podcast. I'll make it again. The mandamies, the communists of this country that are trying to take over the country, they need to think twice before they come to Texas. They won't be met with purple-haired people out there, standing out there, men dressed with lipstick on. They'll be met with 10-gallon hats and 45 caliber pistols. They don't want to mess with Texas. And that's our symbol out there on the side of the road. Don't mess with Texas. And I agree. I will never, ever, as long as I have breath and sanity, I will never bend the knee to tyranny. I will not bow. I have paid a price for what I believe in. And I'll go to my grave believing that price was well paid. And I'll never surrender to the enemy. And that's a statement I'm probably going to make in the next podcast. Because I want the world to know there are some of us that have paid a price for what we believe in. I'm sitting across from one of them right now. Paid the price. And there's someone else that paid a price, and he paid it for me. I've shared this on several occasions. I'll close the podcast, but let you hear my heart on it. When you get burned, you have 3 levels of grafting. Hemograft, which is animal skin. Homograft, which is cadaver skin. Autograft, which is your own skin. On the homograft side, they put that, your body rejects hemograft and homograft. It's not your DNA. It'll accept your own skin. But because those 2 previous are put on you, your body starts to adjust to having skin back, grows blood vessels to the surface, et cetera, et cetera. But on the homograft, the guy that willed his skin to Brooke Army Medical Center, like I will my body back to Brooke Army Medical Center so they can use it for science. And when they're through with it, they're going to bury me above my sweet wife, Brenda, at the cemetery. But this guy was a sailor, willed his skin, and he had a tattoo. The only tattoo I've ever had in my life. And they put his skin on me, and I got his tattoo. And they put that tattoo right on my face. When I woke up, they held a mirror up, and I looked up in that mirror. There I've got this big ship. Beautiful, beautiful crafted tattoo of a ship right on my face. Now, it's not going to grow. They knew it. They couldn't wait to show me, because we were always pulling tricks on each other. And they showed me that ship, and they said, "Gotcha, Dave." I said, "Holy cow, I'm ship-faced." I said that. They said, "We'll never get one up on you, Dave." But the point I'm making is, tattoos are only skin deep. A tattoo is something you do to yourself. But a scar goes all the way to the bone. And I like to close with this. When it comes to sacrifice and freedom, he was wounded for my transgression. Wow. He was bruised because of my iniquity. And for my peace, he was chastised. And to be healed, he took my stripes I should have taken. Because scars go all the way to the heart. I love you.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, Colonel.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. God bless America, and God bless 250 more years of a great nation.
Absolutely.
I'm Dave Roever, and if you would, let me hear from you. I'd love to see if you caught this program with the depth of thought. This is not shallow stuff, my friend. You were wading in deep water today. Colonel Alan Marshall, great man of God, incredibly intelligent. In my book, the greatest hero you can find. Thank you, and we'll look forward to hearing from you. Give me a like. Push that there button. I'm Dave Roever, and I approve of this message.